All right, it is time for me to catch my breath and officially pass the torch, pass the mic to kick off the event. I would like to give the floor to the UN Global Compact's Board Vice Chair and President and CEO of Ingka Group, which we all know as IKEA, none other than the Jesper Brodin. Let's give him a round of applause.
Wow, what a wonderful song. Thank you for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear human beings, dear IKEA customers, 3 questions, I guess, are important for all of us here, if I understand it correctly. What is the Wi-Fi code? Where are the toilets? And how do we save the planet? I wanted to speak to how we actually, at this moment, as we're celebrating 25 years, are here to actually love the past, honor the past, but also to create the future. UNGC, 25 years. A brilliant idea, I think, to actually make sure that we connect corporate society with civil society. Why I think it's brilliant is because we look at the state of the world today with all the challenges that we are confronted by, but also if we look at the progress and the real impact and the momentum that is going on as we speak, it sits at the heart of the corporate sector, which is moving in a different rhythm, with different ambitions and different visions, but it's actually highly effective as we speak. Now, this is probably the most important decade when it comes to the history of humankind. We are confronted with all sorts of challenges, but at the heart of it, many of us believe that climate change is probably the most important, that will impact all other factors. It is sad to have to acknowledge that we are in a place where we are not winning, but we actually see all around us on the globe the impact, impacting people, impacting nature, impacting businesses. So the call for all of us today, as much as we want to honor and make sure that we deliver to all the 10 principles, both the social sides and the environmental sides, we just need to solve once and for all the issue of climate change. When you ask corporates, what are the reasons, and when you ask CEOs, what are the reasons to engage into combating climate change? I hear 3 things, and I think all 3 of them, each one of them are actually reasons enough to act. Let's, in spite of the political climate of the world, be open about the ethical side. We as a generation, we as leaders here, have a collective, incredible responsibility to act on the knowledge that we have today. We can probably admit that some 20 years ago or 30 years ago, we could have been excused for not understanding the impact they have on the planet and people as we have today. But today we know. The facts are all there and the evidence is all around us. So there is just simply no way that we can hand over to the next generations of leaders. We have to together, all of us, make sure that we take a responsibility from an ethical standpoint. Secondly, many of you represent companies that has a very important reputation and a brand to build on and to protect for the future. What we know today, which is very interesting, is that the majority of people of the world, regardless of nationality, regardless of geography, are deeply concerned about climate change. If I look at the IKEA cohort, we have millions of customers all around the world in many, many markets. 68% of our customers out there think climate change is the biggest issue. 64%, and note, are actually taking actions today. They are making choices what brands to go with and what not to go. Most of them don't know if they have an impact or not, but they're making choices. And here comes a very important, I think, responsibility back to us as corporate leaders. Only 6% believe that they can pay extra for sustainability. And let's not make the assumption that people don't care after all, while the truth is actually that people can't afford. So the transformation that we need to lead cannot be done on asking people to pay a premium. We actually have to re-engineer the whole economic system that we are engaged in today. The third reason, so ethics, brand reputation, is economic. And here comes the most exciting and hopeful part of it. Because we in Global Compact, 23,000 companies, are actually step-by-step proving that this makes sense from a financial point of view. Let me speak to both commitment and to result, because what we hear in media and in other channels is actually very often opposed to the reality. When we look at the survey that is now being launched by UN Global Compact, I would like to underline some of the numbers because they are revolutionary. If I start by calling out that 88% of CEOs out there asked in all geographies, in all sectors of industry, 88% believe that the business case for sustainability is stronger than it was 5 years ago. And aren't we sometimes led to believe it's the other way around, that people are shipping out and leaving it? Well, it's actually not true. 88% believe it's stronger. Listen to this, 97% of the CEOs remain committed or will strengthen their commitment to sustainability. So as we have been speaking this week, we say we're not going to wait until it's 100. We think 97 is good enough. So we are part of an incredible movement that is probably not spoken enough about. And here comes a number which is a bit problematic because we as a community of leaders, only 50% of us feel comfortable about speaking out what we do for sustainability. And if I would like to invite you to any big change, it's actually, I think it's important for the encouragement and the hope for other corporates, but also for people out there, for our kids, for our grandkids, actually to tell the story about progress. I got the question today about, I got a proposal for an answer built into a question that we are moving too slow. I don't think so. I think that the corporate sector of the world is moving with an incredible speed. However, we started late. Many of us, including IKEA, the IKEA network, has basically been operating on climate smartness only for the last 10 years. We in IKEA is one example of a company and a network of companies that are committed to the Paris Agreement, which means by 2030, to start with, we need to be at minus 50% carbon. Minus 50% absolute scope 1, 2, and 3. When we started the journey, it seemed like a daunting task. And the biggest fear, to be honest, was, can we afford this? Will this be possible? Today, IKEA, since Paris Agreement, has grown by 24%. So we are successful in business in spite of all the challenges of the world. We are down by 30%, absolute carbon scope 1, 2, and 3. Not relative to the growth, but down absolute 30%. And many of you in the room knows, and I think understand, that that hasn't been an economic sacrifice. It's been the opposite. Today, our energy bill is 97 million euro lower than a few years ago due to renewable energy. Today, we are saving massively on cost because we have smarter material equations. We have become better in handling waste. Our flat packs are flatter, and so forth. And across all parts of our value chain, we actually find that cost and carbon is integrated. So if you address carbon, you actually address cost. We're not alone. I look at World Economic Forum's Climate Alliance, 134 companies and growing. That's not a lot. You think 134 companies. But these multinationals, when you add the carbon footprint together, actually is the third biggest country in the world. It's more carbon footprint than Japan and EU27 together. The Alliance is a committed group of CEOs, so it's CEO-led. 7 years ago, I speak for myself, but I think other CEOs will probably agree, we were not competent. We didn't know any of the abbreviations that we need to learn. We didn't have the plans that we needed, a way of measuring. So this is not a long time ago. Last 3 years, this group of companies have grown business by more than 20%, which will be announced this week, and has reduced carbon by minus 12. So when we say we're not fast enough, I think we're incredibly fast. We started late. We will have to unfortunately pay the price of our ignorance in the past, but we are on a move. So what I would like to invite all of you, because you represent different sectors, different industries, different geographies, is to stay very open, if not for the ethical or for the reputational reason, but actually for your business success and for the future generations of your company. If you're not on the train to a climate smart economy, you're taking a massive risk from a financial point of view. And I actually know I'm right in this case. I couldn't prove it some years ago, but today I can. Listen, we're opening the next chapter of UNGC. United Nations Global Compact was created because there was a belief from Kofi Annan 25 years ago that it would be important for companies to be at the heart of change making. And he was right. That is one of the big revolutions that is actually happening as we speak. We will go with the confidence of the commitment. We will go with the confidence on that it is actually good business to be a good business. We have 23,000 members. We hope to grow the number of members, but we also hope to make sure that we as members in Global Compact get even more value of being part of this association, learning from each other, making sure that we make a responsibility, but also grow our businesses successfully. And we want to take the opportunity to use this incredible voice of reason and responsibility for the future to make sure that we influence, reach out to policymakers and other parts of civil society to actually make the progress that we need. And with these words, I thank you for being part of this opening. I wish you a fantastic day. Remember 3 questions, the Wi-Fi password, the toilets, and let's save the planet. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
You see, he gets me. He gets me. Can't go without that Wi-Fi. Thank you so much, Jesper, for your opening remarks and for sharing the legacy and path forward for the UN Global Compact. I'm hopeful for your sustainable, inclusive, and resilient future for all, my friend. Let's go.